Spring auction time is here, and you're going to start this time of year going to swaps, auctions, bird shows, that kind of thing. And I need to get some crates made to take birds to the auctions. Now, in the states I've sold, you don't get your crate back. It goes with the birds, and so you always got to look for ways to make it economical. A couple of things that most sales up here require is that the cages are big enough for the birds to stand up and sit down and move around in, that they are solid enough to be stacked on, and that they will have a solid floor in the bottom so that you can put bedding, and that they have feed and water cups. So since you got to make these as economical as possible, I stopped off at the neighbors and got a bunch of these mineral lick tubs, which they've got tons of uses. I mean, they're almost as useful as a 55-gallon barrel in my opinion. But today I'm going to show you how I'm going to take this container and turn it into a crate for an auction. There's step one. I cut one big opening in the side of this thing. Reason I do is because I've seen a lot of times where people have used these tubs and not done this, and then what happens is when the birds get put up for bid and they're at the auctioneer's table, they're going to take this crate, they're going to lay it like that. It dumps the water out, it dumps the feed out, and it knocks all the bedding on top of the birds, so you still don't really get a good look at the birds. So by doing this, I'm ensuring that you'll be able to have a clear view of the birds, and I'm going to put wire over the front of this. Once you've knocked out the opening, you're going to need a piece of wire, and what I did is I took the piece that I cut out, laid it on this square wire, so I got a rough idea how big I needed to cut the piece, and then I cut it out and drilled some holes and zip tied it. I'm not even going to use 3 of the holes I drilled. Basically, if it's tight, that's all that matters. I put one up here to pull this in, but really you could probably get away with just 4 as long as the wire lays flat. This is a pretty rigid wire, and honestly it's overkill for this application, but here's the thing. It was free wire, it was from a demolition, and it's too mangled up to really use for anything other than this. I can get little chunks out of it here and there, so that's what I'm using it for. Obviously a little bit of a gap there. It's no bigger than what's here, so I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, I left this up as high as I did so that the beddings won't spill out once I put them in there. I'm probably not going to put them in there until after I transport the cages and get the birds in, just so it doesn't blow out going down the road, because I'm probably going to be hauling a lot of these back to my mom's place, because the majority of them are going to be for birds she's selling. So with no birds in there, those wood chips will just swirl around and blow out and go down the road, and you wasted your money. The next step is to attach your feed and water containers. I use old cans, old Gatorade bottles. Again, you're trying to do this cheap as possible. Don't get something that's so large it's going to block the view of the birds, and I try to keep them down low where they're easier for the birds to reach, but not too low to where they're going to fill them clear full of bedding. Now the next step, you've got a couple of options, and that's the top. So what a lot of people will do is they'll just run wire over the top and either zip tie it in place or hog ring it in place, and that is something I'm considering. However, because of the fact that I made all of those shingles out of those blue barrels, I've got a ton of tops and bottoms of 55-gallon drums that are cut off, so I'm going to see if I can make some lids out of those. There you go, finished product. I just drilled 3 sets of holes in this thing and zip tied it on, and you've got a lid. Now, as you can see, it doesn't quite fit on. A couple of things you could probably do if you wanted to be picky about it is you could either cut this rim off and just have a flat top and get it to fit down in here, or You can cut this off so that this slides up into it, or you could use this as your bottom, flip it upside down, which actually would give them more space to stand because it's wider on this end than it is on this end. That being said, now that I've got this on here, I'm probably, I zip tied it down tight for demonstration, but I'll have to cut the zip ties off to get the bird in here. If you got any questions about, how long are these birds in here? Well, most auctions that I know of, they're 1 to 2 days at the most. And most people who go to them, they've got at the most a half a day, maybe a day's drive. It's usually a lot shorter than that. So typically speaking, these birds are only in their pen for 24 to 48 hours max. It's not very long at all. Another thing this could be used for is if you're in a pinch and you need to quarantine some birds, there you go. Or if you wanted to make, talking to the game fowl community here, what they call keep stalls, which are stalls meant for a bird to rest, or again, quarantine, if you will. There's another option. I could also see this, several winters ago, we had a hen that got spooked, flew up, and caught her spur on the chicken wire. We didn't know about it till we did chores the next morning, and as you can imagine, hanging there all night, her leg was severely damaged, and we ended up having to build a sling for her to sit in while she recuperated. And the sling itself is just made out of a t-shirt and a coat hanger, but I mean, you could put her in something like this. Anyways, you could hang a sling in here and run a board across the top, just drill some holes here and here, run your rod through, and hang your swing in there, and then you could put it so that she's right up against those feed and water cups. Another option would be you could cut this a little higher and make this for a little pen to keep a setting hen or a broody hen in. I know on farms back in the day they used to make little metal boxes for setting hens, and you'd keep the hen in there, and then you go out and let her out once or twice a day, and it guaranteed that she was sitting on her eggs and nothing was bothering her. But you could do the same thing here. So, little ingenuity, little imagination, and you can rig up just about anything to hold a chicken. So, hope you liked the videos, and share the channel, share the videos, tell your friends about us, and stay tuned, because as the weather warms up, we're going to be getting a lot of stuff going in gear here on the farm. So